Hey everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, overwhelmed Christians who want to stop being busy and overwhelmed and instead move into freedom and abundance and peace. I'm Liz First, and this is my husband Evan.
Hi there.
And as you guys know, today is Thursday. So,
Yep.
sorry, I had a moment of like, wait, what the heck am I talking about? What am I doing? I don't know. It's Thursday.
Yep.
So we are talking about being connected. And this week we've been talking about time and how to be connected with time.
Mm-hmm.
We're both a little sick, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay. So for me, when I think of connection and time, because we've kind of been talking about like time management and how to view your time and stuff. And we've talked before about rushing and how that can destroy your calm. But I think rushing can also destroy your connection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could be so busy that you don't have time to hang out.
Well, it's not even like, yes, there's definitely that element of, you know, somebody comes to you and says, hey, let's hang out. And you're like, there's no room in my schedule. Sorry.
Yeah.
But there's also just the little not being present because you're rushing and you're so focused on completing whatever your next task is. You know, like we talked about sometime this week. I feel like that idea of, you know, you get stuck in I'm moving from one task to the next task to the next task to the next task mode instead of being able to just be now.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I think in my mind, that is a form of boredom where, which is totally, you just gave me that look like that's the total opposite of what you.
Well, I'm waiting to see where you go with it because, yeah, I have no idea what you mean.
If you're in your mind, in my mind, I'm kind of running this list over and over again, like the thing I'm doing, the thing I'm busy doing this, I'm busy doing that. But right now I'm in a room with somebody. I'm not really there. But I'm bored with this because I really want to accomplish all this stuff that I'm spinning around in my mind.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it breaks a connection still. Because I'm not with the person anymore. I'm over there.
Right. I guess for me, it's less like I'm bored having this conversation with you and more just like I'm focused and you were getting in the way of my plan.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I totally see that. Either way, the person's like, are you even listening to me?
Right. Or they might not even notice. I mean, I know for me, sometimes...
Smiling and nodding.
Yes. Like sometimes people don't even notice that my brain is totally not there. But I know it. And I know that I'm, you know, I don't feel that, you know, when you have a really awesome conversation with somebody and you walk away and you feel like you've both been encouraged and you both... Like, just that connection is so, I don't know, it just adds peace and all that kind of stuff. And so when you're not having that, you walk away and you just feel even more frazzled because you didn't connect with the person and you didn't get anything done. And it was like total waste of time.
It probably depends on what the conversation purpose is. Like this is making me think about like maybe a church or something. If I need to talk about something with one of the other elders or the pastors, or at a job where you just got to talk about work and you're kind of exchanging information and making a plan and you're really friends with this person, but in this conversation, there's none of the like personal stuff. It's just like, okay, you're going to do that, right? And then I'm going to go and do this. And okay, I'll see you on Tuesday. And then it's over. Sometimes I feel bad often I feel bad about that when it's like, I didn't even like ask them how they were doing. I know something, you know, maybe their wife just had surgery or something and I didn't even ask, you know, but we were just so caught up in and there's probably a time and place for that.
Right.
But if I don't know, something to be aware of, I guess.
Yeah. And for me, if I'm not in rushing mode, I'm much more able, because one of the ways that I've dealt with this is I have specific times in my week that are not rushing times. You know, like, for instance, I know that after my Tai Chi class, I intentionally have my schedule where I can just sit around and chat for half an hour with people. And so
there you go. You're present.
I do. Then. Right. I don't have anything else to do except sit around and talk to them. Then, when we're at church and we have time to talk afterwards, we intentionally are some of the last people to leave.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because we want to be present and not rushing to some, whatever the next thing is. So we just be there. And it's so
And whatever
freeing.
happens, whoever we end up talking to,
Right.
that's kind of the thing.
Right. Yeah. And I know when I'm in that mode, even though I have things that I have to do afterwards, I'm able to just kind of let go of that and really listen. And maybe sometimes all I do is listen to the other person and I don't really talk about much, but at the same time, I'm not running my to-do list through my brain,
You're actually listening.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's something we should be aware of at home too with our own family. I think we get so comfortable with our family sometimes that we just
that's
do
totally
stuff
on my list too. Because that's another, we kind of have that time with the girls, like right before bedtime. We try to
do some.
Right.
Yeah.
To have extra time there. If we don't make time for those connections, we're going back to some of those things we talked about earlier this week, but we're going to end up getting 10 years in the future and we'll have gotten a lot of stuff done, but it won't be any of the important stuff and we won't be a different person because, you stay the same except for your interactions with people and the books you read.
Yeah.
So if you're not making room to have those honest conversations with people, you're just kind of like you're stunting your growth.
What do you think are some techniques or some things we need to do to make sure that when we're with somebody, we're actually with them and not off somewhere else in our brain?
Well, I think creating margin, like we've talked about before, so it's not like I don't have time to talk to you. I have 40 things left to do, which goes back to, the sacred six stuff, making sure that you don't have tons and tons of things on your to-do list.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned some of those times. One of those times for me is my night off. So if somebody's like, well, let's do something, I have a night of the week where I can say, I'm pretty much always available this night. Mm-hmm. And maybe they are and maybe they aren't, but I pray that it works out if it's supposed to. But there's some time there where I can do something,
Right. Yeah, and it's not like, oh no, how am I going to fit this into my schedule? It's just available.
Yeah. Yeah, and then once we're there, be in the moment. Sometimes I think everybody does. I definitely struggle with being there, and even though it's like, okay, it's free time until 8:30 or whatever.
Right. Uh-huh.
But it's I'm trying to think of an actual technique. It's probably asking more questions that are more about how they feel about things and who they are, what's important to them.
Yeah, that definitely makes a difference.
And it helps to actually be interested in it too, in the answer,
right?
Which I am. I like to find out about people. And I guess if you're with somebody who will listen to you as well, I think it can't be a one-way thing.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to be really easy for my brain to go somewhere else if it feels one-sided.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. We talked about that, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the holidays, that small talk is that you're fishing for information that you both are passionate about. And so finding where your connection can be, that really helps me. Because then when I am asking questions, it feels less like, all right, I'm just asking questions to be polite. And now I'm going to listen to this spiel that I really have no interest in, but
because you ask a question
whatever.
You don't care about the answer to, probably.
Exactly. Yes.
It's tricky, too, because you got to remember what you've asked about it and stuff. There's a guy at church, and we're getting to know each other better now, but months apart, I'd asked him the exact same question. Like, I'd asked him once before, like, oh, what do you like to read? Because I like to read. And he was like, I don't really read that much. And here's a book I read a while ago, and I kind of liked it. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. Like, had a little conversation. And then months later, it's like, so do you like to read? But
was he like?
And as soon as he answered it, I remembered, and I was like, oh, that's right. So kind of own it, I guess. If there's a mistake, own it, and whatever. It can be part of the relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
There's room for grace.
Yeah, and if there's not room for grace, it's not a relationship you want to put effort into anyway.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I thought of is to think in terms of a target, like your circles of connection. Who are the people that are closest to you? Well, your family. So start there. Make sure that you have good home life, whatever that looks like, you know. Work on your relationship with your spouse, work on your relationship with your kids, or if you're not married, work on the people that you live with, you know.
Yeah.
The people that know you best, because they're the ones that are around all the time and can be like, "Oh my goodness, I have to tell you, you've been leaving your socks out for 20 years and I can't take it."
Well,
or
you
whatever.
Let you finish your list, but sorry. I think so. Working on it though, that's back to techniques. I think one of the most things we could do is be ourselves around these people. I think we mentioned that
Right.
some other recently too, where if we're not being real with those people, who are we going to go and be authentic with? But
Yeah.
and so that would include, if the sock thing bothers you, say something. That would include asking questions you care about and listening to the answer. And it also includes, maybe you need to, if they're not good at asking questions, volunteering information and just trying to see how it goes and
That
throwing
is
it
so
out
hard.
there. Yes, it is hard because you're kind of, that's a part of vulnerability though. So
Yeah.
I don't know, just when you were saying working on it, I was like, oh, what would that entail? But I think some things like that.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah. So thinking about who are the people that are closest to you, and then maybe, working on those first, because you already have opportunities for connection there versus having to go out and like create an opportunity. I'm a big fan of taking advantage of the opportunities you already have. And I think I've shared on the show before, I go to the same cashier every time I check out. Like, I've got a couple cashiers that I know, and I chat with them every time I come in, and it's great. I mean, I've built relationships that way,
Sure, that's right. Yeah, I think we get into trouble when it doesn't take much to make us want to trade in our friends. I mean, I think
Yes.
I knew some people in college like that, where it's just like, well, I guess our friendship's over now. I'm going to go find new friends. I mean,
Right.
I felt like that's what happened a couple of times, and it was just like, what? Where are you going? What's going on? And
Yeah.
it's like, how are you going to do that over and over again? You're not.
Seriously.
So part of being especially if you're with your family, is sticking around and trying to solve problems, not just leaving. I think that right alongside this is that great quote from Henry Nouwen, which I don't have word for word, but it's something like, friendship is making room for other people to be themselves, or listening is making
Listening
room.
is the art of creating space
Yeah.
for someone to be themselves.
That's right. And if we're going to work so hard on being ourselves, we want to let them be themselves too.
Right.
And there may be some things there that clash, but if we looked at them hopefully through God's eyes, and if this is someone that our lives are so butted up against each other that we are going to be around them, whether they're blood relative or whatever, or somebody you go to church with, like, there could be things that harmonize instead of, they may seem like they don't, but they might be able to.
Well, and sometimes, at least for me, it's kind of like C.S. Lewis talks about how it's our relationship with the other person that allows us to fully experience ourselves and to experience them in a new way. Like, we bring out different aspects of each other, and we need that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it is so important not to get rid of people that you're uncomfortable with. Because if you don't have people that stretch you a little bit, you're never going to grow.
Yeah. I think the caution, though, too, is that there does come to a point. It can be so abusive, and it's not just
Right. There's a difference between
annoying,
discomfort and abuse.
That's right. So there's definitely, I mean, even with blood family and anybody, because you can be as authentic as you want, and if the other person is abusing you or taking advantage of you or whatever, that's not a healthy situation. So we're not saying you got to stick around no matter what all the time.
Definitely. Yes. We would never advocate that. It would be extremely hypocritical.
But you don't just leave at the slightest stress either.
Right. So. Yeah, there's definitely that balance of, okay, I'm working on growing and they're working on growing and, our relationship is growing. Kind of like what I think almost every Christian marriage counselor ever talks about, the triangle that, like, as you grow closer to God, the both of you are closer to each other.
Yeah.
So, and that's true. I mean, the more you work on your relationship with Jesus, that's ultimately where connection starts with. is having, and you can't even love anyone without having that connection with Jesus.
Yeah, whether there's someone close to you or not.
Right. Yeah. Love's the fruit of the Holy Spirit. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Without love, it's a crashing cymbal.
Yes.
Even if it's just, say you're giving money to the Salvation Army on Christmas time, but there's no love in your heart, that's a bad nickel or whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully that gives you guys some stuff to think about. I know it's stuff that I need to think about, like working on not rushing and being present so that I can actually grow and connect with people and listening instead of running my to-do list through my brain.
Yeah, me too.
We love you guys, and we are praying for you that you are finding greater peace and abundance and freedom, and that the CSCs are providing help, are proving helpful for you. Come back tomorrow, and we're going to keep talking about time and talk about how to be complete with time.
Yeah. We'll see you then.
All right. Have an awesome Thursday.
Yep, Thursday, still Thursday.